Plagiarism is a complicated concept, but it is one that writers need to understand. Individuals accused of plagiarism can face serious academic and professional consequences, so it is really important to clearly comprehend what plagiarism actually is. The Modern Language Association, a professional association of writers and teachers of writing, defines plagiarism as using another person's ideas or expressions in your writing without acknowledging the source constitutes plagiarism. To plagiarize is to give the impression that you wrote or thought something that you in fact borrowed from someone else, and to do so is a violation of professional ethics. Forms of plagiarism include the failure to give appropriate acknowledgement when repeating another's wording or a particularly apt phrase, paraphrasing another's argument, and presenting another's line of thinking, end quote. There are a few features of this definition that are particularly important for the purposes of our course. First, note that this definition does not differentiate between intentional and unintentional plagiarism. Even in cases of accidental plagiarism, cases where someone may simply forget to give credit to another writer or thinker, punishment or sanctions may follow. Second, note that the definition includes others' lines of thinking or thoughts. This means that plagiarism occurs when you do not give credit to another person or group's words or ideas. So, even in cases of paraphrase, cases where you put another's words or ideas into your own words, you must give credit. Third, plagiarism occurs when you do not give appropriate credit. In other words, if you give someone credit but give them the wrong sort of credit, you might be committing plagiarism. To explain, when we put quotation marks around a portion of text and indicate where that portion of text comes from, those quotation marks tell a reader that the source said or wrote those exact words. When we give credit through a citation, but we do not use quotation marks, we are indicating to our reader that the ideas come from our source, but the words are our own. Take this example. Quote, Bertrand Russell railed against widespread parliamentary hypocrisy, end quote. The citation, Smith 87, at the end of the sentence tells us that Smith wrote the sentence on page 87 of the source. The quotation marks tell us that those were the exact words from the source. Compare with this version. Bertrand Russell denounced all of the hypocrites in Parliament, Smith 87. The citation at the end of this sentence tells the reader that the information or ideas come from Smith's work on page 87. It is a paraphrase of Smith's work, but the words are the writer's and not Smith's. If we remove the citation at the end of the paraphrase, then we tell the reader that the words and the ideas are our own. And since the ideas are Smith's, we have plagiarized Smith's work. If a portion of what you have written is largely someone else's words, it is wise to choose to quote rather than paraphrase. When in doubt, reproduce exactly what your source has said, being sure to put it within quotation marks to indicate that the ideas and words belong to another person. Different contexts will call for different conventions for citing sources, and you will learn more about these contexts and conventions as you progress in your writing pursuits. For now, be attentive to how you distinguish your words and thoughts from those words and thoughts of others, and you'll be much more likely to avoid intentionally or unintentionally plagiarizing.